D'Angelo. We are on Brass Ring Media TV right now. We are also on RVD TV live, and with the man himself, Fonzie, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, and it's right down the middle. We're back here doing a little chat here before Fonzie makes his big trip to Philly. Fonzie, good to see you again, brother.
Hey, Dominic Daddy, I heard you had a great weekend commentating and managing your brother. It was successful. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot and got some good advice from Rhino and a lot of cool aspects of it all. So I had a good time, and my brother did a really great job. So more to come, hopefully, on that. But you had a busy weekend, too. You were up in Cleveland, correct?
Yeah, AIW, John Thorne always has a fantastic show. It was a sold out show, standing room only. It was very cool. Very cool.
Hell, what'd you do there? Did you do manage somebody in particular?
Well,
Or?
I wasn't on the card. I was like a surprise guest because I haven't been there in 2 months because I got other obligations and so on and so on. So they brought me in as a surprise guest, and they hit my music, which is RBD's music. I come up to that, and I get a good pop, and I uh, pie face some guy like Sabu did, and I was out there for like 4 minutes. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Pretty
That's
cool.
awesome. Pretty neat environment AIW has as a promotion, doesn't it? It's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. John Thorne does a great job. I've been going up there for almost 5 years, almost once a month for 5 years. AIW is really cool. John Thorne's great. He's a great promoter, and he draws good. There was, 500 people, standing room only. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. We're talking about the independent shows and what's a good kind of house for that kind of stuff. What is your typical mindset? Is 500 usually a good house for an independent show typically, or
I
what?
think that's a hell of a show, a hell of a independent show. I work for a company, CCW, as you know, in South Florida, and they've been around for a while, and they draw. They run Miami every first Saturday of the month, which is great. They run Kissimmee every second Friday of the month, and they have shows in between. And they draw 500 to 700 people every show. Unbelievable how well they're doing. And I got a great spot there.
That's awesome. Okay, because I was always curious, like what people would say for, and like I said, the shows that I went to were like about almost 400 and something. That's pretty good for like what was a really busy wrestling weekend in the area of Pittsburgh. So
I would say Pittsburgh's a big wrestling town, so if you guys can draw 400 to 500 people, it's really cool because there's so many indie shows all over the country, and they're all doing well. For some reason, wrestling is hot right now.
wrestling is hot, and there's like a lot of people that go out and do it, and it's fun too. You get the casual fans, but then you get some passionate fans that come in, and your regulars that show up too. So it is pretty interesting to see how much it can still engage and connect with people on that level. I think it's wrestling something for everybody, and I think somebody can always pull something out of it. So I think that's the neat thing about it, Fonzie, for sure.
Right.
So
It's not like it used to be back in the day, but there's wrestling fans all over the country and they want to be entertained. Sports
yes,
entertainment is where it's at now. Back then they used to call it wrestling. Sports entertainment wasn't a word you would use or a sentence you would use back in the day, but now it's sports entertainment and wrestling at the same time. So it's pretty cool.
and you're getting all that WWE in particular is getting all this crossover kind of stuff from major sports. You see all the NBA players come and get involved with certain angles, or they're a part of the show in a little bit of ways. You have stand-up comedians coming in and out as guests, and and then musical artists like becoming a huge part of storylines and stuff like that.
Like the Insane Clown Posse loves us.
Right? Oh man, and they did. Jay or Violent J does such a great job too with the JCW and the aesthetic that they have with Juggalo Championship Wrestling, and yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
it's a really, and it's so cool. Like speaking with Rob about Jay and how they kind of grew up together in certain ways when it comes to like the wrestling scene. It's neat to think that Jay was first a wrestler before he even did the music stuff. It's kind of neat to think about that.
Well, I met Jay back in ECW in the mid '90s, which he was a big fan and loved wrestling. And then as time goes by, they became huge stars with, they have that big festival all the time, and They just had one recently, and they put over Sabu, and they had the whole crowd. I don't know if it was a 50 or 60,000 people were chanting Sabu.
Wow, man, that's awesome. And I think I saw something on Instagram too that he posted about that whole event going on. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. So this Wednesday, tomorrow, you are flying to Philly, and you're going to be a part of the Sabu Memorial that's taking place at the ECW Arena, the 2300 Arena, and a lot of your friends and colleagues will be there.
Well, they just buried Sabu in Lansing, Michigan on the 21st, with his family and friends. And RVD was there, of course. I didn't make that one. So I thought I would do the ECW Arena, which made a lot of sense for me. And it's open to the public. It starts at 7 a.m. I'm leaving my house early at a 6 a.m. flight. I'll be in Philly eating cheesesteaks. Then I'm going to go to the ECW Arena. Doors open up at 7 o'clock. Everybody's invited. There's no cost involved. We're just gonna do a big memorial for Sabu. Of course, RVD and Katie will be there. Big news about Katie. So, um, we lose Sabu,
Yes.
right? It was heartbreaking. And then Van Dam and Katie are pregnant.
Yeah. How about that?
So it's funny how we lose one and somebody's born. RVD and I talked about that. It's getting crazy, man.
It
Crazy.
is
So we're
crazy.
having a big memorial for Sabu at the ECW Arena. What a better place to have it than ECW Arena.
Absolutely. And if you any of you guys haven't been to the ECW arena recently, it's been all revamped. It's the 2300 arena, and so it's a really nice setup and how everything is. They have a bar, they have a good open space that for people to hang out and kind of mingle at the same time. But and then they have the venue where the wrestling takes place at the same time too. But it'll be interesting to see how they set all that up for Sabu, and what a nice tribute that'll be. A lot of
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing all my friends, Todd Gordon, Sandman, Joe Gerner, all the guys that live in that area should be there, and I know Todd and Sandman will be there, uh, and myself and um, Sabu's family is going to be there, and a host of wrestling fans that adored Sabu and loved the ECW. So I'm looking forward to a great event. Doors open at 7. I think the actual ceremony starts at 8. And, they have great footage of Sabu. They're going to be showing pictures and videos and all kind of stuff. And people, they asked me to speak. And of course I will. And of course RVD will say something. And it's going to be really good. Really
yeah.
good.
I know. Some people, I can't remember who I was talking to, but some people were, just a couple of wrestlers that I was with this weekend. They were talking about like, oh man, how kind of sad that's going to be and everything like that. And it'll be sad, I'm sure, obviously, but there's going to be that communal aspect where everybody's together and almost like a celebration, I think, in certain ways too, where it'll be like, you're appreciating the life of Sabu, and you're able to do that with everybody that worked with Sabu and kind of quote unquote grew up with Sabu and ECW, so to speak.
It's
So
amazing how many people have reached out to me, and everywhere I go, Sabu died May 11th, and it's a month later. Everywhere I go, I do shows every weekend, and everybody comes up to me and says sorry about Sabu and so on, and they're going to try to make it to the ECW arena. I think it's going to be packed. I think we're going to have a good turnout, and it's just crazy that we lost Sabu. Uh, you don't expect these things. We lose a lot of guys, Kurt Hennig, Dusty, Andre. We lost so many guys, but Sabu really hit home because I was so close to him and we traveled together. And, it's just tough.
yeah, I could only imagine too. It's just like, and you were saying when we both heard about it too, and I was talking to you how like you just kind of still don't expect it, and even though it's like the career and the what Sabu put himself through in certain ways and things like that, but it still comes unexpected. There's no way to really prep for any of that. It's tough.
Exactly.
It's tough.
Exactly. RVD texted me that morning Sabu passed and said, Fonzie, we lost Sabu. And I was thinking, oh, we lost Sabu. He's going to, went to a nightclub and ran into some people and he's hanging out for a couple of days. We lost him. But
Yeah,
then so I called Van Dam because I didn't understand the text. He said, no, Fonzie, Sabu passed. We lost him. Damn.
yeah. Yeah. Oh man, it's so unfortunate in certain ways because it's like, he was just here, and I think everybody that's a big ardent fan and loved ECW knew what Sabu contributed to the wrestling business. And it was nice to see the outpour after he passed and everybody sharing all the
Yes,
clips and everything like that. It was
big
great
uproar.
and so nice, big outpour. But I kept thinking, man, he was just with us, and it gives me moments to think about, like, man, we got to appreciate people while they are still here at the same time too. It made me think about that as well.
Exactly. We never know when we're going to lose somebody. And WrestleMania week in Las Vegas, Sabu and I and Van Dam and a bunch of our boys were at the WrestleCon for 3 days, and
Yeah,
then we had that big GCW match, Sabu's retirement match, and a barbed wire. There was a couple of thousand people there. It was very cool. Who knew that was going to be his last match? They built it as his last match.
yeah, yeah. They did.
And it actually was his last match. Who would have thought, So
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
kind of devastating. And then he did some commentary on the Sheik's Dark Side of the Ring, which
yeah.
came out a couple weeks later. So it was all coincidental, and damn, it's kind of crazy in a good way.
Right, right. It was a good way to honor Sabu in a lot of ways.
Yes,
Like,
that's what I'm talking about.
yeah, give that the people opportunity to share all these clips and memories and stories of Sabu. And I also too wanted to share. I know you have that awesome shirt that you got right on you right there. Uh, our buddy Bobby Piscor, Potter Piscor, made that.
I love Bobby.
Yeah, and I know he's making the trip to Philly tomorrow too. So he'll
Yep,
definitely,
can't wait to see him.
yeah, and so he'll take some good photographs, I'm sure, of everybody. So I'm looking forward to check those out. But also, I wanted to acknowledge another company that made a Sabu shirt here. Let me pull this up here. It's a double-sided shirt. It's by Tapped In, they're called. And so here it is right here. I don't know if people can see it, but
Wow, I
there's
can see it perfect. Yeah.
very nice shirt. This is one of the t-shirts. I have one for Rob too when I see Rob again, but they sent one. Tapped In. That's the name of the brand. So take a look at them. They do a really good job. This one's Rob's shirt right here. But what I wanted to say is all the proceeds they earn from this are going to Sabu's family. So they raise like $800 in that. So I wanted to give them a shout out and be sure to make sure
Great.
they
Yeah,
got
thank you,
this.
Tap.
Yeah, Tapped In. So be sure to check them out on Instagram. They do really, really cool shirts like that for a lot
Yeah,
of
that
things.
sure looks great.
It's really, really neat. I don't want to wear it because it's like a collectible item. It looks like I want to kind of get it something framed or something for it. I think so. Uh, but yes, so shout out to them. I too, Fonzie, you wanted to talk about how kind and thoughtful Sabu was to you too over the course of your guys' career together and stuff. I know you
Oh,
had a
a
couple.
good example. Sabu's Van Dam's into the 420, right?
Yep,
So we did a photo shoot with the High Times magazine in the mid 90s. And, we had a 3-page. Are you there?
I'm here. Yep.
Okay. We had a 3-page spread in the High Times magazine, which is an international badass magazine. And after the photo shoot, is how good considerate Sabu was for me. Uh, After the photo shoot, they gave a ounce of pot to Van Dam. Of course, it was the best pot money can buy, or high quality. And they gave an ounce of pot to Sabu, and they bypassed me, and they said. And Sabu said, "Hey, what about Fonzie? He gets an ounce too." And he made them give me an ounce of pot too. So it was pretty cool. Uh, and we had that big 3-page championship pot smokers, which was pretty cool. You know,
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah.
it is one of my favorite pictures of the three of us. They were a hell of a tag team and held all kind of titles and very cool. I got so many pictures of Sabu and Van Dam and myself. Great memories with Sabu, of course. I just got the sign. Sabu just signed it for me in Las Vegas.
Oh wow.
His last appearance in
Yeah,
the ring,
man, that's a good look.
GCW. Yeah,
Heck
I
yeah.
got a sign. You could offer me $100,000. I wouldn't sell. Well, maybe 100 grand. I would, but
Maybe I
um,
think Seb would be all right if he did that. He'd be okay.
right. Yes, Sabu would love it.
Yeah. um, did you, what was I going to say? Did you ride in the Winnebago a lot, Fonzie?
Oh yeah, I was with him today. He bought it. We were in his Cadillac. We were driving to a town, and he seen a damn Winnebago, uh, you know, place where you buy them, and he just pulled in there and he negotiated with the guy, and we pull out with a Winnebago. He he might have been thinking about this for a long time, but he didn't tell us. He just saw a place where they sold Winnebagos, drove in his Cadillac, and I think it was me, RVD, and a couple other guys, and he bought the Winnebago. And yeah, of course, I traveled with Sabu. I was with him 5 years every weekend for 5 years, and we'd flying to Philly or wherever we were, that weekend was flying to Pittsburgh or Michigan or Florida. Uh, yeah, we spent a lot of time in that Winnebago. It was very cool, very generous of Sabu to have us in his Winnebago.
And I didn't know. I think it was Sandman that told us or told me that Sabu was afraid of flying, and I didn't know that. Like I didn't know he had kind of like a apprehension to fly, and so that's why he got the Winnebago too, right? Is that?
I think he did because he drove long distances where they offered to fly him. He said, "No, I'll drive," and he slept and didn't get a hotel, slept in the Winnebago. It was a 5-star Winnebago. It was beautiful, 2-bedroom, kitchen, shower, everything was fucking, 100 expensive, badass Winnebago. We loved it. We loved it. I was glad to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. We're live here, so we have folks in the chat here.
Hey, Daddy, hey, everybody. Yep. Thanks for tuning in.
Tim Layden says right down the middle, Daddy. So he's here in attendance.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep. Triple E says, Fonzie, how was it being on Todd Gordon's co-host as the podcast and being on the Coastal Championship pod a week or two ago? How you made a couple guest spots on some podcasts, huh?
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, the people love me to be on our podcast. And Todd just started. He's done 3 of them, and I've been on all 3 of them with him.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Covering the history of ECW and what I know.
Yeah, Todd's so knowledgeable, and he's a big part of. He's a founder of ECW, and yeah, he's very good. I recommend you guys watch the podcast. Very cool.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't checked it out yet, be sure to check it out because it's another way to kind of get a good education and some extra background about the ECW days. And
yeah, he covered a lot of backstage stuff. Well, of course, like in his book. Todd Gordon's book covers a lot of stuff, and then his podcast is covering a lot of stuff, and he holds no punches.
Yeah, he doesn't pull. Yeah, he definitely doesn't, huh? So that's the neat thing about it.
Yeah.
So let's see what else we have here. Chad said, Fonzie, it's Chad from Georgia, Daddy. You ready to call it down the middle between those whole effing show babies? Love you all.
Oh, that's my boy Chad. He's a good friend of mine. I love Chad. Yeah, he's a big ECW guy. He loves the wrestling business. And he's very cool. But Chad's very cool.
Yep. And he says he loves his shirt too that he got. So how about that?
Oh yeah, he got a shirt from me. I made a few of them, and they're very cool. And only a fortunate few people got them.
Yeah,
cool. Of course, I sent one to Van Dam and Katie right away. But
hell yeah, they were. I think so. One of them was wearing it the one time we were doing the podcast. So, yeah. How about that too? Not only are RVD and Katie expecting, but they're having twins.
How crazy! I know, it's crazy, right?
You're right.
Oh, put him in Des Moines and name it Fonzie.
I know, right? Name one Fonzie, name one Sabu.
Right.
There we go.
I don't think so, but that'd be very cool.
That would be cool.
Love Katie. Katie is so cool. It's her and Van Dam was just such a great couple. Van Dam's really in love. They're really doing well together. I'm so happy for them about having a baby, man.
Me too. And you can tell Katie is so happy. She's so excited. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
She always says how much she loves kids. And so it's so cool that she's getting the chance to have 2 of them. So that's great.
Right?
Yeah. I'm really happy for her. Let's see here. I did want to, Fonzie, I wanted to ask you too. This is kind of like a 2-part question.
Okay.
It involves Goldberg. Obviously, Goldberg is back in WWE. He's supposed to have his last match at Saturday night's main event. He's going up against Gunther, so it's a world title match. There's a possibility he could win. He's 58 years old. Goldberg is somebody that is not known for his wrestling, like technical wrestling aspect, but more of just power, hard hitting, kind of badass kind of hit. And I've always been a fan of Goldberg, but I kind of wanted to get your perspective working with so many talents over the years and different types and different styles that maybe are a line of in the same lines of Goldberg. How do you feel about him being 58, him being in the mix, and just that style type of wrestler in general?
Well, I think Goldberg came in after the wrestling. He came in on the sports entertainment aspect of wrestling, and he fit right in. He was explosive. He looked great. He was an athletic guy, and so the people freaking loved him. He didn't have that big wrestling background. He wasn't in the business 30 years like most of us have been in. So he walked into the right place at the right time, and he held a great position, and he performed maximum. People love Goldberg, and included me. So I think this would be a good send off for him. 58 years old. Of course, he can't go too much longer. Uh, um, but congratulations, Bill Goldberg.
I know, and it's like in such a big platform. It's on NBC, Saturday night's main event, and it's in Atlanta,
Yes.
which is like adopted hometown. So it's really fitting that if he doesn't win the title, this is a great way for him to go out. And I'm excited.
I think so. I think they're going to draw big money. People are interested to see what they do with in the match. And Goldberg's not going to let anybody down. He loves to perform. He's a ball player. He's badass, and he's still in freaking fantastic shape from what I see of him. He looks phenomenal.
He
So
looks great.
yeah. So hold on. Oh, hold on. Sports entertainment is coming up soon.
I know.
Bill Goldberg.
I'm pumped.
And hey, if they put the strap on him, I wouldn't be against that.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either.
That's strange. This business is strange. We do awkward things in this business.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's what makes it so entertaining too. And it's such a business too. Like if you're 58 years old, you are not going to be playing quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys or anything like that. Your career is over. Wrestling is such a unique thing where it's like a 58-year-old can still perform in the ring to an extent. And if you look the physical part that you looked back when you were 20 years ago or whatever it may be, and you can still basically do everything, there's nothing wrong with you being in the mix still at that point in time. It's such a
good example. A good example, Dominic, is me. I'll be
right.
68 years old in August, and I'm in demand. I almost work almost every weekend somewhere in the United States. If it's not a WrestleCon or a Comic Con or CCW or AIW or a show in Cleveland or a show here and there, and I'm still performing. I still get my ass beat all the time. Go through tables and stuff. I'm 68 years old, and people still buy it. People still like me for some reason. I'm, accepted, and I'm not a spring chicken, but I love the business. I love to perform. I'm going to go until I can't.
And Fonzie, you look great. And I didn't know you were 60. You said you're 68.
In August 11th, the same birthday as Hulk Hogan.
Wow, I did not know that. Wow.
He's
and
a couple years older than me.
Fonzie. You look great. I thought you were like 61, so that's awesome. That's awesome.
I wish I was 61, Daddy, but I'm happy with my age, and I'm still performing. Especially the WrestleCons, and people come up to me, and I'm well accepted. And I think last year I went through a table and I broke 3 ribs and broke my nose last year. But I did it. People still accepted me, and it's part of the game. My wife doesn't like when I come home with a cut up head, and or something happens to me, or I can't hardly walk. She hates it, but I love the business. It's what I've done for 45 years.
Right.
I've never had a normal job in my life. Been in the business 45 years and still going.
And
so Goldberg can do it too.
Goldberg can do it too, for sure. And it's I know we've said this so many times, but there's nobody like you in the wrestling business from like the career that you've had, because it's like you as a referee starting off, working with everybody that you worked with in the ring, like from the Sheik to Terry Funk to Andre the Giant to Giant Gonzalez to you name it, Dusty Rhodes. It's like you've worked with everybody, Fonzie, and then to make the transition from a referee to a manager, and to do that at the same time too, it's just all like you're okay. You're like the Kevin Bacon of pro wrestling, where everybody has a connection to you. I think it's the neat thing about it. So
Funny about me breaking it, turning into a manager after refereeing for 25 years, and then Todd Gordon, Paul Heyman bring me into ECW, and I was the evil, the referee from I just left WWF,
yeah,
and I wanted to come into ECW and stop the violence and be sports entertainment. So just coming from WWF, and people hated me for that. And then I was supposed to be there 4 weeks to get choke slammed by 911, and then that was my out, and then I was
yeah,
gone. But the fans uh, really hated me, and my character got over it. Paul even thought it'd be a good idea to put me as a manager. And you know how many times you see a referee do promos? Now, once in a while, a couple times a year, they might do a promo or something. But so now my job is doing promos and managing guys, and I really couldn't get it. And Sabu came up to me and said, "Fonzie, you having trouble doing promos?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Just treat it like a shoot. You know you're going to be at the ECW arena on December 10th. You know we're going to fight Taz. You know it's going to be a chain match. You know this." And then I said, "Okay, treat it like a shoot." So I said, "Hey, December 10th, Taz, we're gonna come kick your ass." Bam, bam, bam. And so I was one take Fonzie. It was just treated like a shoot. That one came from Sabu.
no way.
So
So that's great. He was the one that kind of propelled you to get better at
yeah,
it.
yeah. And Sabu didn't do a lot of interviews, but he knows the
No,
business. You know, he knows the business really well. So
that's so
he
cool.
helped me out and held my hand a lot.
Yeah, how great. That's so cool. That's awesome. I guess this will transition to the other topic I wanted to bring up real quick. So you started off, being a manager in ECW and stuff, and one of the first people was Taz. Um, Taz just posted online. It just made me think about this topic. Was somebody why somebody was questioning why they took Taz's singlet away in WWE and he wore a jumpsuit. And Taz, to unbeknownst to me, it was his decision to wear a jumpsuit instead. He wanted to change his look and stuff like that in WWE. And it made me think about him moving from ECW as the human suplex machine, the world champion, the one of the biggest stars in ECW, going to WWE. And they made him a big star starting off. He beat Kurt Angle, ended his undefeated streak, but he never made it to like the world title picture and everything like that. And I always kind of thought that was like a missed opportunity. What did you kind of feel about that, Fonzie, when it came to Taz going to WWE?
Well, they had so many WWE superstars before Taz got there, so there was a lot of competition. But they had WWE tells you what to do, tells you your gimmicks, and tells you how they're going to use you and so on. But of course, Taz, he could have done anything. He could have been a main eventer and all that, but they held him back to a certain extent, and he was okay with it. But look at him now; he's a big commentator in AEW. Taz is still a big star today. Been in the business as long as I have, almost.
And Taz is one of the best on commentary too. I would say of all time. He's such a good color commentator. Like he adds logic to it. Like from a technical standpoint, he'll break down like moves and how they kind of work and stuff like that. But at the same time too, he's really funny. And he connects with the fans so well. He's seriously, he's one of the best I think to ever do it from a color commentary. Anytime
Yeah, I
Taz is
like
on,
Taz a lot.
yeah, I'm entertained by him for sure. So
Yeah, he's doing a great job. Who would have knew he'd be, still a big star like he is right now? What a great spot, he got.
I tell you what, I think that the AEW should bring you in and you should manage Hook. I think that'd be
Well,
sweet.
I met QT Marshall. I was doing a show in South Florida for CCW, and they had QT Marshall on the show.
Yeah.
And he came right up to me and, "Hey, Fonzie, I'm QT Marshall. I work for AEW." He said, "Your name came up in a production meeting." And I said, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Well, what do you want me to do?" So I called Tony, Tony Khan, and he said, no,
Pretty
no, no, just wait. So another month went by, and he was on another show with me for CCW. He said, Fonzie, your name came up again in a production meeting. So I don't know what the problem is. So at least they're thinking about me.
Yeah, right.
You know, I think I can go in there and have a little run in there. It'd be very cool.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I think like Hook it once he comes back. I think he's been hurt with a concussion, but if he came back, I think you and him would be such a perfect pairing. I think in a lot of ways, and you could really help get him to the next level in AEW and stuff. And what a full circle thing, you managing his dad, and then you end up managing him too a little bit.
Right.
Pretty darn neat. I think that's a great.
I think that would be great. I'm open for it. I'm
Yeah,
open for it.
Tony Khan, I hope you're listening.
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations, Tony Khan. You guys are doing really good.
They are, and it's All In is coming taking place in Texas coming up here, and they seem to be getting some good buzz going on, and I think the Starcast is in conjunction with that, and so it's feeling like a big deal, and I think it's neat to see wrestling kind of be in the position that they're at, and I only hope all companies kind of grow and flourish and do well, because that means it's good for the business, and it's good for the wrestlers and everybody involved. So. And good for the fans too, obviously, at the same time.
Yeah, the fans love it. They're doing well.
Right. So yeah, great stuff. Fonzie, anything else you want to get over? So this weekend or tomorrow, Wednesday, be sure if you're in Philadelphia to go to the ECW Arena. That's the 2300 Arena on Swanson and Rittner.
Everybody's invited. Doors open up at 7. We're going to mingle from 7 to 8, and then the actual ceremony is going to start at 8 o'clock. And Van Dam's going to speak. I'll speak. There's Sandman and a host of ECW superstars. A host of ECW guys are going to be there, and quite a few fans I heard are already going to be there. But the arena holds a couple thousand, so everybody's invited. Please come and let's give Sabu a great send off.
Give him a great send off, and no better people to have there than RVD and Fonzie, two of the people that are really, really close to him in the business and stuff. So, should be a very, very cool and memorable event for everybody to enjoy and celebrate the life of Sabu and share some stories and everything like that. So, I'll be definitely.
There's only one Sabu, so I put Sabu in this category. All the guys that we've lost, like Dusty and Andre and Kurt Hennig and Rick Rude, and all these guys are legendary, and Sabu fits right into that legendary status. The Sheik, Sabu is one of a kind, well loved. Everybody loved him, and actually nobody worked harder. Sabu was one of a kind. He's really extreme and brought the tables and chairs and barbed wire and all that to the forefront, and he's an innovator, and he's well loved by everybody. Oh my God. We talked about it earlier, that all the reception that I got from all the boys, all these indie shows that I do, and people on social media, we did that fundraiser and raised big money for Sabu's burial and all that right away. I think one day they raised like 50 grand, which was sensational.
It was great.
That was fantastic. So I appreciate everybody thinking about Sabu. And if you can't make it to the ECW Arena tomorrow night, the 25th on a Wednesday, just be thinking about your brother Sabu.
Absolutely. It's like Sabu said in the documentary about the Sheik, the funeral is for the people there that loved you, but the person that passed knows that you love them already. So it's what a great that was.
Yeah.
So
I've had Sabu in my home. I had him in my parents' home on the lake house and all that, and I really enjoyed Sabu. My whole family adored Sabu. They're not big wrestling people. They didn't know exactly who he was, but he was so cool.
Yeah. Oh, what a cool person he was. I'm glad I got to know him too, and it's such an honor to share stories with him and with you and all that stuff too at the same time, Fonzie. So,
thanks, Dominic.
Thank you too. So we'll do this again here in a couple of weeks. But if you're tuning live on brassringmedia.com, stay around, because Zach Cadorn will be doing a live show where
that's next, right?
That's coming up next year at 9 p.m. So Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to stay around and join in on that. They're going to be talking about the Night of Champions pay-per-view coming up, and what should they be going to Saudi Arabia? Shouldn't they? They're going to talk about it on there, so you guys can give your feedback on all that stuff. But
super. Okay, stuff. This is Bill Fonzie Alfonso saying so long for as my friend Gordon Toley would say, so long from the Sunshine State. See you
Heck
guys in
yeah.
Philadelphia, hopefully.
Yes. If you can make it to Philly, go pay some tribute to Sabu. All right, guys. See you next time here on Right Down the Middle with Fonzie, Bill.